Hello, I thought I would do a review of Masquerade, which is the immersive show production of The Phantom of the Opera, which is currently running at in New York City at the moment. I have only been to one immersive theatre production experience before, which was called Sleep No More, and that was also in New York City. And I couldn't remember the name of it, and I just checked to remind myself of the name of Sleep No More, and I can't believe that it ran for 14 years because I didn't enjoy it. However, I thought that Masquerade this afternoon that I went to, I had to turn up at 1:15 for my entrance, and I had to have, I was sent a secret code word by email 24 hours before, which was head turner. And so that was my secret, and you have to say it, and I forgot it. So the man, he pretended he wasn't going to let me in. I think he would have, but yes, I had to say the secret password to get in. And you have to give your handbag in or your purse in at the cloakroom, which you had to again with Sleep No More as well. I'm not sure for whatever reason, but yes. And you also had to wear a little mask, which I got one off of Amazon, which was quite a pretty little thing. So yes, it was very good. I thought it was really good. Obviously I know Phantom very, very well, whereas I didn't really know what was going on with Sleep No More. I was like, what? There was no dialogue in Sleep No More. It was all like mime and strange dancing and shocking nudity, which I am not a fan of, looking at people stand up in front of me fully naked. I don't find that, I don't find that entertaining. But there was nothing like that in Masquerade. It was really, really good. It was excellent. In fact, I would highly recommend it. I thought we were led in by a Madame Giry. They have 5 different casts. I was wondering how they ran it. So obviously my Madame Giry, she stayed with my audience members for the whole period of time. She was very good. And she does kind of involve you. And at the beginning we were having to sing a little bit of Masquerade, and she was doing like paper places on parade, like all these actions, and then we had to try and do it. So that was quite fun. And then she says, you have to follow me now, I'm going to tell you the story, blah, blah, blah. And so we followed it through into the rehearsal of the opening scene at the Opera House, and I was quite interested to see what they would do with Piangi and Carlotta. And yes, they were there sort of like up above us on a little stage platform, and they sang a little bit. They didn't really sing much, which I would have liked to have heard a bit more of, maybe the cadenza that Carlotta sings, but she didn't really do any of that. Just a little bit, just like a little reminder. And he sang a little bit as well, but again, not much, even though both of them had nice voices, good voices. And then the opera managers were there, and then Raoul came in, etc. Raoul really looked like, the guy who was playing Raoul for us, really looked like, a famous actor. I can't remember his name. Not Hugh Grant, Hugh someone or the other. I'll have a look. He looked just like him, so tall, very slim, dark hair. Gosh, yeah, he really reminded me of this particular actor whose name I can't remember, but I'll find out, and I'll add it in the description. So yes, he was, and the Christine was a little Asian soprano who looked like a little China doll, very petite. She had a nice, very, very nice voice, actually. I think out of Phantom and Raoul, the 3 principals who are mainly in the show all the time, she had the strongest voice. She was the smallest human, and she had the strongest and nicest sounding voice. And considering I played Christine, that's quite a big say for me to say that. She had a lovely voice. I really liked it. The boat scene, you know, at the beginning of the Phantom of the Opera duet was very good. They're on like this remote control boat, and you're kind of seated as though you're in the lair, and they come up the middle, so there's seats sort of around it, you know. There's small rooms, they're not auditoriums by any mean, or, you know, but so they're small. There's about, I'd say there's about 30 people in your party, if that. And so you're sitting there like coming up in the boat up the middle and arrive, and then it's sort of like, obviously it's on a remote control, and it sort of like turns around and sails off, and they're left behind to do "You Have Come Here," you know, after the end of the Phantom of the Opera duet. The only thing with that is the Phantom of the Opera duet has always been on track because of the toppies at the end. I don't think anyone would want to sing those 8 shows a week. So yes, it's always been on track, and I just thought it wasn't mixed very well, because I couldn't really hear the voices loud enough. It was so much of the music of the Phantom of the Opera duet, the actual song, like that, but I think they needed to turn the Phantom and Christine's voice up, because it was like really quiet. And then when of course they sing live again, normally it wasn't kind of in balance. But there you go. One thing that was sort of added that I didn't hear when I was in the show Phantom of the Opera, which is a long time ago. I'm sure they've added lots of different things since I did it. Was at the end of the, you know, that like going up to the top E, it was like this really epic electric guitar solo. I don't know if they've just so I was actually more thinking, wow, I love that guitar, rather than listening to the all that. The guitar was epic, this rock guitar at the end of it. So that did pull quite a lot of my focus in that duet, was this epic electric guitar solo that was flying around in it. So yes, that was a bit different. It was still very, very good though, still very, very good. The whole scene, the lair, first lair, etc. Then the costumes were nice as well. So they were similar to the original costumes, but they were different. So like where, for instance, the opening "Think of Me," that's like the red and green beaded kind of skirt. It was all gold, and they weren't beads. They were like slips of like material that I guess looked like a fake kind of gold leather. But no, it was very nice. And then when they brought the skirt round, so that she comes out and sings "Think of Me," you know, as more of a proper opera singer, it was all gold as well. I thought it looked very nice. It was very nice. And the changes they did sort of were good. They had some nice effects where we sort of go down to, we see like where the Phantom lived. He's like, you know, where he's living underneath the opera house. At the end of the first layer, when you know, he's finished singing Music of the Night and she faints and he picks her up and whatever, we follow them through to this other place, like we're going into another area, and she's on this bed laying there, so that obviously it's like the bit where she's asleep and "I remember there was mist, swirling mist," you know, that bit when she wakes up, and she's on this bed instead, and it's like a black bed, and it's very good. There's like, she's lying there and she's sitting up, and there's like this hand comes from sort of like coming out of the bed sort of thing. So that was a very very good effect. So things like that I thought were very well put together. Yeah, Masquerade was the opening song, so that was with the very small members of the chorus that there are. Then they also had a scene which I thought was a very good touch, explaining, sort of reenacting Phantom's beginning. So if you've seen the show, obviously towards the end of it, you have Madame Giry sort of explain to Raoul that a freak of nature, monsieur, you know, and that a fair came to the city, and there was a man, I shall never forget it, where she sees him and he's like, obviously got his deformities, etc. And he was being a show, like he was being an act at the freak show. So he did escape, and it turns out, obviously in the show, she doesn't say that she helped him escape, but in this, you see her helping him escape. So, and then she brings him to the opera house. And the scene where they're at the freak show, there was like a fire eating act, and there was a girl, she was doing this act, sticking like these screwdrivers up her nose, and I thought it must be a trick, you know, like when you get those knives when you're a kid and you pretend to like stab yourself and the knife bit poke into the handle. I thought it was that at first, but I don't think it was. I don't know if she's got her nose pierced or something, because she stuck one up, then she stuck one up, and then I turned around, she moved to somewhere else, and I saw her sticking it in between with her nose. So that was like, that was a bit cringy, but very good, the fire eater. And then you had the man who was running the fair, sort of like, now we've got the next freak, he's coming on, you know, he was doing this introduction, and he had a song. He had a new song that's not in the original show. So that was nice that there was a new song. And then obviously you see Madame Giry being about 15 years or 20 years younger, supposedly, or 10 years younger, and helping Phantom escape when he's young, like it's another guy playing him, but much younger looking, or at least 10, 15 years younger looking. And she helps him, and we sort of like follow them out, and she's like, this is where you're going to live. And she had a song that was about learn to live alone, and you know, you'll be all right down here. And she was like showing him masks and that sort of thing. So she had like this little quiet ballady sort of thing, singing to Phantom. So that was a nice little touch as well. What else was very good? I mean, it was, as I said, the whole thing was very good. You go up and down different flights of stairs, you go into different rooms. There was a little, we go into Carlotta's dressing room, and she's complaining about how she doesn't want to do the Don Juan opera that Phantom has written. And she brings us in, and we sit down, and it's sort of like in this room, you've got Piangi in there, and he's playing the piano a little bit, and how can I sing this music? It is rubbish, you know. And again, they only sing a tiny little bit, those two, which I did find a little bit. They sung a little bit, he sung a little bit Prima Donna. I think they could have made a nice little duet out of that and had them sing a bit more, but there you go. And then into the same room came the opera managers. They come in and do a little bit of something. And then Christine comes in, and Raoul is telling her that she's got to appear in the show. And the past the point of no return dress, which I used to absolutely love that dress. It was like a beautiful peach and black lace, Spanishy looking thing. Hers was red and black, of which she actually put it on my lap at one point. She was trying to look in the mirror, and she'd picked up her costume looking at it, and then she had to put it down, so she put it on my lap. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, excuse me, my dogs. So yes, so then she had it on. They did so all the songs that they did, she did Wishing very, very well. She did Wishing, excellent. And it was sort of like the, you know, she's supposed to be at the graveyard, and they sort of like had this big, great, like tombstone-y thing behind her. Again, it was a slightly edited version of the song, All I Ask of You. They managed to create some kind of a roof, like these glass window things for All I Ask of You. They did quite a lot of that music, so they did more of the Why have you brought me here? Don't take me back there. You know, that sort of thing. More of the, where she's sort of like, I roll, I've been there. Da, 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 da. You know, all that sort of thing. Explaining more of the narration, more of the recitative kind of thing, actually. And yes, they did do All I Ask of You, but like a slightly cut version of it. It was very good, very nice. She, as I said, the girl had a very nice voice. She had a very, very nice voice. I liked it. The only thing, she had a slight lisp, so it was a little bit like, but it was actually really endearing. At first I thought, why did they pick someone who's got a bit of a going on? But it was actually really, really sweet, and I got to like it. I thought it was but I thought it was actually really sweet, and she's obviously learned how to minimalize it with her vocal technique, but I could spot it, obviously. But it was actually, as I said, it was very sweet, and her voice was so good, and she sung the music so well that it really didn't matter. So yes, so they did the point of no return, and then they did the final thing, you know, the final layer. Have you gorged yourself at last on your lust for blood? You know, all that sort of thing. A lot of that scene was done. It was very good, very good. And then, they did a very good trick at the end when she comes back. So obviously he didn't do his sitting in the chair and disappearing like he does in the show. She came back like she does at the end to give his ring back to him, where he says, Christine, I love you. And then in the show, she pulls her hand away and runs away. Well, he put a black cloak around her, and they were standing in front of the door, and he pulled the hood down, and she was gone. She disappeared. It was very, very good trick. Very, very good trick. Excellent. So that was excellent. Very good. Yes, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. The last two shows I've seen in New York, I haven't really spoken about, because I saw Sunset Boulevard, and although I thought Nicole Scherzinger was very, very good, and actually the guy who played Joe and the guy who played the butler husband character in it, all very good, I just didn't like that it was this minimalistic black and white thing. That wasn't for me, but I thought she was very, very good in it. I mean, she's an outstanding performer. She's a very talented girl, there's no doubt about it. The young guy, as I said, who played Joe, was very, very good, and he was English, which is cool, to see an English boy on the stage of New York. And then I went to see Gypsy, and I liked Gypsy. I liked the show. I love that show, but I wasn't mad on Audra McDonald's singing of it. I was disappointed. I've never seen her in a live show, so I didn't really know what to expect, but I don't know. It just sounded a bit crazy. I know she'd had some problems singing it, found some vocal difficulties, and I don't actually think that it's the best suited singing role for her. So I can see why Nicole Scherzinger beat her in the recent awards, because Nicole Scherzinger's a bit of a one-off, and would have been very, very hard to beat at that time. Anyway, I would recommend Masquerade. I wonder when they will do it in London, as I'm sure they will, I think. Or maybe another city in the United Kingdom, because obviously Phantom's on in the West End. We'll see, but it was very good, and if you get the opportunity to see it, I would recommend it. Thank you. Bye-bye.